Descargando. Ajá.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Scam Likely Show. It's a good day today in Florida. It's not 100 degrees today. As the 100, 120 is just no more of that. So it's actually reasonable. It's down to like the upper 80s and 90s. So I can still run my 3-4 miles, lose my weight and everything. I'm feeling good. I told y'all I had an unrealistic goal that I was going to get down to 180 pounds at 43 years old. I was all the way down to 182. I snacked on a couple of chomping pies and pigger cakes and chomping pies. Up to 184. But I'm going to get that 180, or I'm going to get close to it. Because the first goal was 185, but I thought was unrealistic. Then I pushed it to 180. Who knows? Maybe I'll be 2% body fat running the 4 minute. You never know. But I'm feeling good. And I always like to start the show up with something positive or something dusty or something positively dusty or dustily positive. But today I got a special guest. Before I bring her up, let's talk about what the topic is. We're going to talk about reinforcement versus punishment. It's called operant conditioning. Let's be real. Our brains are, us as people, other people, animals, we respond to stimulus. We are who we are. And then most of our personality, what we do, how we do is based on conditioning, environment and conditioning. What goes into the brain comes out in action. That's just how we work. That's science. Science doesn't negotiate. We're going to get into it, but I don't know everything. I'm not a parent. I'm just some dusty dude in Florida who doesn't know anything, who just makes up stuff, I guess. Just some simp or whatever they call me in these on the dust panels, or a hero sometimes, because sometimes I'll be saving people, jumping in, going 1-on-6 on panels, or encouraging people just in real life, having good, productive conversations, a combination of both. But at the end of the day, I'm still learning myself. But I have been a teacher. I have been a supervisor. I have managed and influenced, worked in sales and a lot of other stuff to where I understand human behavior. And it's something I'm still trying to learn more of. But I got somebody who might know more than me. She's a parent. She's a coach. She's a parent and a coach. She coaches the kids. She influences others on a regular basis, does counseling, former military officer. She's a superhero pretty much, but she's still learning too. Let me bring to the stage, first time on my panel, Mel.
Hi,
what's
everybody.
going on, Mel? I don't got all the sound effects with all the clapping and the singing and everything. So if you're at your house, jump up and do a backflip for my guest, Mel.
Not today. Not after
and she's rocking those braces.
Look, we in cross country season. My whole body hurt.
I understand. I ran half a mile warm up, sprints up to 20 minutes, then a mile and a quarter for a cool down just today. Yesterday I was running 300. Trust me, I get it.
I was gonna say,
we did 6 miles on Thursday.
We did mile repeats this morning. So yeah, I'm hurting. I ain't gonna even lie to you.
Shout out to people I see in the chat. Shout out to Melanated Lux. Shout out to Jedi Mike, Blue Fi. I mean, there's also you could have got black and gold, maybe purple and gold.
Or he made the right decision. Don't do that. Not with me on the panel. You ain't gonna talk about.
I guess he got a sister over here on the panel. They were sold out of crimson and cream. They were sold out of pink and green. So she grabbed blue and white.
Oh, that was cute.
No, actually, I love all fraternities, all sororities. If they could get along a little bit better, that would be good, because it's all about positivity and uplifting people. But shout out to the Sigma, shout out to the Zigmas. Excuse me, I said Zigmas. The Sigmas and the Zeta Phi Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta Sigma, stand up.
Okay.
Right. And Mills, I see you. I hope that third interview went. Hey, we just glad to help. I hope that third interview went good. Ricky Webster, I see you. Easy Money Jones. Later, if you're available, come on up. Candid Ann, first time you could catch us live. I got to get you on my show one day. If I missed anybody, shout out to you. Welcome to the panel. Oh yeah, shout out to Delta Sigma Theta. Jedi Mike recently married a Delta, so blue and red is kind of purple in the household. And I'm gonna keep promoting y'all's marriage because I see y'all as who you were a year ago, and I see two people who did the work to put something together. I know where y'all going. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. Today's topic: reinforcement versus punishment. I'm gonna just let y'all look at the screen. I'm gonna remove us so y'all can see this picture a little better. Then I'm gonna talk about it for a second. Yeah, 15 seconds. Look at the picture. All right, time is up. Positive reinforcement. That's the thing I want to talk about the most. Positive reinforcement is adding something to reinforce good behavior, a reward, an incentive. If you do this the right way, we're going to get to this, and it's somewhere good. Negative reinforcement is taking away something to reinforce good behavior. Hey, I'll let you stay up and watch TV all night. Hey, I'm gonna remove restrictions. I'm gonna let you off punishment early, or I'm gonna get rid of something negative to encourage a good behavior. Punishment. The picture in the I'm not gonna go too much in detail because I did a whole show on it. One thing of first, positive punishment is adding something to discourage the bad behavior. But you're adding something. For example, a whooping, a punishment. You can't leave the house, or you have to take your brother everywhere you go. You have to do, or you're going to get something that's received to try to discourage bad behavior. And the other one is negative punishment. I'm going to take away your toys. I'm going to take away your tablet, take away your cell phone. I'm going to take away your freedom. And understand a lot of most punishment and reinforcement is actually done by words, the words that come out your mouth. That's what goes into the subconscious mind, out the conscious mind, and into action or into words. That's very important. Any opening words you got, Mel?
So I think one thing, and I think it's very important, you said it's a lot more with what you say sometimes than what you do, especially when it comes to kids. Because every morning when my minis get up, we brush our teeth, wash our face, or whatever. I'm in that bathroom. On their wall, they have like just who I am or whatever. If I woke up, even if I'm having a bad day, like after I go to the gym or whatever, I'm having a bad day, I still make sure that they start off their day positive. They start off their day with like reinforcement so you know who you are and not what somebody necessarily calls you. It's like who you are. And I think a lot of people don't do that. Like even as adults, like I have who I am written on my mirror, like posted up there. So I really think a lot of people get confused, like when we talking about punishment and reinforcement, like they don't know the difference. And that's why like it's so many parents, not just parents. Well, I'll say parents because I do coach and I see this a lot. It's so many parents that don't even know how to parent properly, and it sucks. So
Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm gonna say it sucks because it's not. I don't want to say it's their fault. It's because they probably was never parented properly either, so they don't know the difference between reinforcement, punishment, negative, positive. They just say whatever they feel like comes to their mind. And myself, I'm a very impatient person. So I had to start, like even now I'm trying to teach myself to be more patient when it comes to like my kids and dealing with my kids and the kids that I coach. But yeah, sometimes I get there real quick.
Interesting that you say. Because what I'm trying not to do is beat up and just rip the souls out of the parents. But
Well,
I get there are some people just bad parents. They shouldn't have been parents anyway. There's just some bad. Then we got some neutral. Then we got good that want to do bad, bad want to do good. We got just people. And like you said, a lot of people weren't parented themselves and then they're expected to be a parent. Then they raise kids and then those kids are expected to be a parent. Just like bad leaders, bad leaders in the military bring up more bad leaders, bring up more bad leaders, bad. Next thing you know, it's just a dustathon, kind of like most of the world we live in. But you said people don't know the difference. Can you go more in detail when you're saying people don't know the difference in the punishments and the reinforcement? Explain that a little bit better.
It's a lot of people that don't understand, like, okay, so what you said earlier, when you take something away from a kid versus I'm just gonna whoop you, or I'm trying to think how you said it. You said it earlier and I don't forgot. That's why I be writing this stuff down. But people don't understand the difference between, like, if I reinforce something, that means that I hope I say this the right way, that I'm reinforcing an action and how you react to something, versus I'm just going to punish you because you're not doing something I like at the time. And I think that's what, like, a lot of people be teeter-tottering on, and that's even in relationships. If I'm reinforcing how I want you to treat me, that means that I'm treating the way that you treat me with respect, and I want you to continue doing it. So I'm gonna make sure that you know that I want you to continue doing it. However, if we had an argument, then my thing is, punishment shouldn't be, oh, I'm going to completely cut off everything that I usually do to make sure you're taken care of as a human being. Because I think we need to talk about that more too, like even reinforcement and punishment, like when it comes to relationships and when it comes to kids, because those are whole different conversations. But as a child grows, you have to matriculate them into understanding the difference. And it's a lot of us that don't understand the difference and how to move a certain way. So they don't know how to treat relationships. They don't know how to treat relationships with people, even.
Where do you think they might have learned that from?
You know, I don't want to say they learned it at home, because it's not at home, because there's too many influences outside of home. Because if you think about it, if we think about the whole totality of everything, a lot of us, we learn stuff at home, but our influences come from, like, our relationships and dealing with people and dealing with other kids, like stuff like that. It don't come from home. So that's a great question, and I don't have an answer for that. To be perfectly honest, that's a good. You know what? That's a good question, because I'm not sure.
Simply put, I'll use something negative, for example, which I don't like always using negative examples.
Mm.
When I was a teacher, there were 9 and 10-year-olds tomorrow beat the black off of you. Somebody said something they didn't like, so I'm gonna beat the black off you.
Mm.
A 9-year-old got that from somewhere. They didn't make it up. It's not in the textbook in first, second grade. And it's an automatic response, which means somehow it got into their subconscious mind that was a solution to a problem.
That's true.
It came from somewhere. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, see, like I said, a lot of parents don't know how to parent because they didn't get properly parented. So a lot of stuff, it comes from, like, old school behaviors that we still adopting because we think that's the right way, but it's not the right way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a parent that's, like, when people say gentle parenting, I'm in the middle. Don't get me wrong, like, my kids know they can talk to me about anything. The kids I coach, my kids, they can talk to me about anything. However, it's a certain limit where I'll I'll like cut certain things off because it's like, okay, like with my son, like he's a little bit older than little mom than baby girl. So it's certain things that, yeah, I want you to talk to your dad about, or your dad can, take you down this route, or y'all can have that conversation. But it's definitely certain things that either one of them know that when mom says this or mom does this, then that's it. That's the end of the conversation. And you gonna do what I say do, but I try not to be as aggressive, but at the same time, I don't want them to think I'm a pushover. So I think it's different when it comes to like a mom and a dad, because I'm supposed to be your safe space. That's how I feel like mom's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be your safe space. And I know everybody don't have both parents that are parenting. So, and I know a lot of men gonna hate me for saying this. When dad come home, like, and I do this to my son too, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell your dad. And then he's just like, no, don't tell my dad. But I just feel like I'm supposed to be your safe space. And when I tell you certain things and you don't listen, okay, I'm gonna tell your daddy. Don't worry about it. So I don't know. Like you got me over here conjuring.
That was my house. My dad meant business when we got there. And the simple fact of my mom went to go get him, he wasn't coming out there for community service. And the simple fact was I had to get up because he did something. So, I mean, how we going to do this? That's just what it was.
But see, that's how it was. Like, I think the one time that my granny told me, I don't know what I did. I can't remember to this day. But she said, I'm going to tell your dad. And I cried so hard. When he got home, he didn't have to put his hands on me. When he sat down, he was like, okay, baby girl. He was like, because I call my daughter baby girl, but he called me baby girl too, because I am the only girl. But
he's going into my next point too. Go ahead.
To talk to me. And I was just like, Daddy, I'm so sorry, whatever. I really wish I could remember what I did. I don't remember. But yeah, I was just like, and I was crying. He didn't have to put his hands on me or nothing, because I knew who was the authority figure when it came to, like, when I was growing up running that household. So if you telling my dad, you knew you was in trouble if you telling dad. So I think that comes like with some way too, with like it's a lot of single parents that we have, and I don't want to see it as like a negative thing, but I definitely want to see it as something that needs to be taught. I gotta take this call, so I'm gonna mute real quick.
Go ahead. I was just going into what my next point was. My next point was it was a conversation. I don't say who and what panel, but they were bringing up the military, and they were talking about they're asking me and Mandrell, two people who were obviously in the military, and saying, see, before y'all was in the military, y'all might go out there and do some stuff thinking there's no consequences. But when you was in the military, if you did this, there'd be consequences. So you think twice about doing it because it was at UCMJ. I was like, actually, it worked a little bit different. Here's the deal. By the time we were teenagers, in my house, there was stuff we did not want to do. We had no interest. So we weren't into drugs, weren't into fighting, gambling, stealing. We weren't into it because we didn't want to do it. If we got in trouble for it, it wasn't fearing the consequences. It wasn't, oh, my daddy gonna get me. My mama at 15, at 13, it wasn't daddy gonna get me. It's I let them down. They provided a space where we don't have to live like that. And I went out here and did something absolutely stupid. I'm explaining this. I'm supposed to be doing that because this is what I actually believe in. This is what they taught me to do. And I know why I'm actually doing it. And I went and did something over there that was real stupid. My favorite word is influence. Influence is when people buy into you. They buy into something. When you buy in and you're invested and there's a full plan and you have a full understanding of why, you make your own decision. So somebody shows up, hey man, you want to sell some crack? Man, we's gonna make some big money. Dude, get the hell up out my house. We don't do that. I don't want no parts of it. I want no parts of you. It's not all the consequences, all the police, all the men gonna get me. So it wasn't out of fear. So when it comes to leadership, I say this repeatedly, the highest level, influence. I want to follow this person because of who they are, because of what they said, because of what they do. I believe fully vested into this person or these people, this organization. They don't have to have consequences. The only consequences, hey, you're not a part of us anymore. That'll break you way down. There's people trying to get into this organization or trying to become something like these people. You don't have to ever lay a finger. All you have to do is talk people. All you have to do is talk. People move. And even bad influential leaders, they talk and people die. All they got to do is, hey man, go take care of that. Because they believe in that person, are 100% sold. So everything isn't based on fear, where the punishment side is a lot fear-based, consequence-based. I don't want something bad to happen. Do they have a full understanding of why? Did they buy into a plan? Are they following something? Or are they just living day to day in survival mode, trying not to get hit, trying not to get suspended, not to have something bad? Even in employment, the people who worked in 60s and 70s worked one job. They sat in their desk, were on time because they were scared something was going to happen. They lived in fear and survival mode. Versus the people, I'm going to work at this job 4 years and I'm going to move up. I'm going to study this. I'm going to learn this. They got 5 people that they're following. They do stuff. They critically think. They analyze. They challenge the status quo. Different style of person. But I don't know. I'm going a little deeper into it.
No, but what you saying is right though. Like if you think about it, like in the long haul, if like I had told somebody one day, I said, if I had told one of my soldiers to go run into a wall, the only thing they're gonna ask me is which one. Cause they just like I took care of them and it wasn't a fear thing. Like we just had a mutual understanding. It was respect. And I made sure they was always good. But at the same time, they knew not to like try me in a way that would put me in a situation. But I just made sure they was always good. So what you're saying does make sense. Because I had to think about real quick, like how many different jobs I done had when I was like, okay, I'm done with this. Let me go somewhere else versus being with like somebody for like 30 or 40 years. Well, I'm only 35, but yeah. But like, you know, that long haul like that, like even the Army, I'm thinking about even going from enlisted to an officer. I just knew I had to move and I didn't mind like changing locations or whatever every 22 months. Cause I was literally gone from somewhere like every 22 months. And I was just like, I'm good. I got to do something else. So that is a good analogy. For real.
Yeah, I had some mentors, so I'm still cool with to this day. Mm-hmm. I reached out to them. Hey, I see where you're going. Can you help me get there? That's indirectly what it was. Mm-hmm. I'm new to employment. You've been at it 5 years. And I suggest most people get a mentor, especially young people. Get somebody at least 5 years older, preferably married with children. They tend to be most patient, most understanding.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Because I like some of the people that I still talk to from the Army, like most of them honestly are NCOs that mentored me and had to come. Like once I went over to the other side, like I was still learning and developing because I went over to the other side pretty early. But I just was like, I'm just gonna sit back and listen, and I let them develop me. We still talk to this day, and most of them are still married with kids. And I call them, we have a good conversation or whatever. You know, I talk to their spouses, whatever. But it's just a lot of people don't understand. Like, I want to be the smallest person in the room at times, because if I'm sitting at a table with people that's already done stuff that I'm trying to do, that means I'm learning something. I'm not trying to sit at the table with people that's doing the same stuff that I was doing back in Mississippi. So I'm trying to grow and learn every day.
Hey, Sugar Bomb, I'm talking about successfully married people. I'm not going to take a shot, not at this time, but I'll put it this way.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go to
some
this
people,
comment. How married people
okay,
the most stable and the divorce rate is so high. It's not that. So this is the thing, and I hate when people say this. It's not that the divorce rate is so high. It's just more talked about now. The only other thing is we have to look at a couple things. A lot of people stayed married because they just didn't want to go through the process. Now that people are not afraid to go through the process, it's not higher. It's just talked about it more.
True.
So let's not get old, like talk about the divorce rate so high. No, it's not. Are you married? I'm sorry.
No, I know, Sugar, but what I was saying, because you're talking about why when I pick a mentor, I prefer somebody to be married. When I talk married, I talk successfully married. There are people who are just married going through the motions. There's a lot of zombie marriages. There's a lot of married people who act worse than the single people. I'm talking successfully married, influential people. You'll hear it in the words that they talk. But I don't want to get on
spouse as well.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it in that much detail. But my parents are married. My sister's married. I got cousins.
Ooh.
There's certain people I know married that I will talk to, and there's some that I won't. I'll just leave it at that. But I'm honestly, good question, because I know where you're coming from.
Well, I'm gonna say easy what you just said. You can be a great parent and a horrible spouse, because I'm divorced from my husband, and he's a fantastic dad, horrible husband. He was the like horrible husband. So you spoke a message, but you can be a great parent. And then I think when people do get divorced, one thing about it is you can still be good co-parents, because like when I tell my kids that I'm gonna tell their dad, it's like I'm not saying it as a threat. It's because I know that he gonna have my back, and we on the same page when it comes to parenting and how we want to parent. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, just when people say single parent, like I hate that in a way. And I feel like when we talk about being a single parent and raising kids, like when somebody, for me, if you say a single parent, that means you absolutely doing it by yourself. And that's why I'll never call myself a single parent. I'm a co-parent. I'm definitely a parenting partner. Me and him, we can talk about like whatever we need for the kids or whatever. However, he's moved on with his new life. I moved on with my new life, and that's fine. But we still on the same page when it comes to raising our minis. So I think that's important too. And I think it's also important when we talk about reinforcement and punishment, because me or him, we're on the same page when it comes to how we discipline them, whether they're at my house or his house. And it's only because I think my son is getting older that I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, I gotta tell your daddy, because sometimes him and his dad need to have a conversation. Sometimes he gotta have a conversation with our daughter, but at the same time, they know that we're on the same page, and me and him will have a conversation prior to him having a conversation with them. Or even when I text him and I'm like, okay, well, this is what happened today. Or he'll text me, this is what happened today. We'll have that conversation. I think a lot of times when you're raising kids, like even with the kids that I coach, like one of my kids, I ain't gonna lie, she made me cry the other day because I don't coach volleyball anymore, but I've been coaching her in basketball for like years, long time. And she told me she wanted me to walk out with her at her senior night. She said she want me and her mom to walk out with her at her senior night. So that meant to me like I've had some kind of positive influence that you still want me a part of your life. That's a very memorable thing, and you want me there. So a lot of times I do have to give the mama male, because some of the kids do call me mama male instead of just coach male. But sometimes I do have to be like, okay, hold on, what's going on? Because I had a mom one time and she was like, Coach Mel, this is what's going on with my son. I need you to talk to him. And she was there and we had that conversation. And I was like, I don't care what's going on. I was like, let me tell you something. I was like, that's your mom. I was like, and disrespect will not be tolerated. I was like, we gonna have this conversation again tomorrow. I was like, but if your mom called me and tell me anything else that you doing wrong or anything else that you doing like bad, I was like, you gonna run. I was like, but I love you. And I tell all my kids that. And they know I love them. Every time
That
they
would
call
be
me, whatever, I always
positive. That would be positive punishment. Him running.
oh yeah.
That would be positive. But going back, I'm gonna use that example. What was it about you of why the person wanted you to be the person to walk with her on senior night? What was it about that relationship, and what are the things you did to foster that relationship?
So
then I got a couple more things, and then I'm gonna drop the link because I assume there's a couple people that. And if you got dust for me, yeah, I'll drop the link.
Yeah,
you can disagree.
I want to say so. It's a couple things. I think that I ain't gonna say I think she went through. So I've been coaching her for a while. But I was hard on her when I needed to be hard on her. But I was there for her at difficult times. And I wasn't the person that was like slamming her through those difficult times. I actually just sat down and listened. Like if she...
Can you repeat that one more time? You did
I'm
what?
sorry. I'll say I was the person that sometimes if she needed, I just sit down and listen. And we'll
you
be able to have...
You sat down and you listened to her? That's what you said you did?
Yep.
Sat down and listened.
And I feel like if you sit down when you talking, especially to a child, that shows that you're not trying to be dominating over them. You actually like putting yourself in a place where like you on the same level with them sometimes. Because I was just like, let's just sit down and talk. And I made sure like I always would sit down and listen instead of standing over them when they was trying to talk to me or tell me what was going on, or if I knew something was going on. Because I was like, at that time, as mean as I am, because I'm not mean, but sometimes on the court I have to be mean. Like, I just don't want them to put them in a place where they feel like I'm trying to domineer them, because they are relaxed if I actually sit down. Like, even with my son, like I would, like when he was smaller, I would take a knee if I felt like he was getting frustrated or overwhelmed with something. And I was like, Kingston, I'm taking a knee. Let's talk. So I just feel like sometimes it don't always have to be a domineer thing to mean something to somebody.
A form of positive reinforcement is giving time, is giving attention, and meeting people on the level that they are. They need understanding. Proper communication is one of the most lacking forms of positive reinforcement, or positive reinforcement initiators. That's bleeding. Is why you hear people always ready to sound off, because they haven't been listened to in years. They've been talked at, they've been talked to, they've been talked for, but they have not been listened to. That is a fact. And look at the response. This though is just one example, one person. But I'm talking to a coach. Mm-hmm. And the outcome was, hey, that person came and said, hey, I want you to walk me out senior night, which means, hey, you have influence over me. Without any punishment. Yep. Just saying. But yeah, I'm gonna stare at
I'm writing. So no, and that's a lot of things that people don't understand. Sometimes the conversation is easier than you just punishing somebody or trying to use your influence. And I think as like adults, we always want respect. But my thing is, I've gained all the respect that I have. I've gained that through like just my actions and the way I move and the way like I take care of people. So everything that I do, and I think a lot more people need to do this, it needs to be methodical, especially when you dealing with kids, when you dealing with like how like your character and stuff like that. It needs to be methodical. And a lot of people as adults, we were so in a rush to get grown that we don't even think about sometimes when we do stuff. Like, it really don't make sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna drift it a little bit. I'll put it this way. The method that you use, positive reinforcement, punishment, negative reinforcement, negative, either side. I'm really going left and right mainly. Reinforcement versus punishment. The one that you use the most on a person, or if a person grows up, the one that's used the most is the one that they're going to be seeking for the rest of their life. Most people. Or you'll see the foundation be based on the method that's used. Now, I'm going to give a couple examples. Some people, and I'm going to use a word that y'all love to death. Oh man, y'all love this word. This word, are y'all ready? The word is shame. These are the effects of shaming people, which is negative punishment. It's just verbal. It is negative. You're talking down to a person. You are not. How come you didn't? You ain't gonna never. That's why you. Don't you ever. That's what shame is. The words come down. Shame. The effects of shame. Well, one issue is this. Not all, and let me say this, not all punishment is bad. Not all negative punishment or positive punishment is bad. But it has to lead towards the positive and not push into the negative. When you shame people, these are some of the things that happen. You kill their confidence. You told them they weren't, that they're not. You told them they're not. They can't, they won't, they didn't. And that leads towards failure. You just told them they failed. A lot of people, yes, they failed. There are a lot of failing people. You just reinforce that they are a failure. So some of them, they might respond, they might act right, but they still in their mind believe that they're a failure. So they just react out of fear. Rebellion and delusion. I had a cousin, grew up pretty rough, all out here. Turned 18, went all the way out of control. You don't believe nothing. Like, as soon as I get my freedom, man, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And also as delusion, because there was no buy-in to a system. All it is a system that they know doesn't work. They don't know it does work. So they'll try and they'll do anything. So how do people get rebellious? They never bought into a system. And they're just not prepared. So you didn't establish fear. All that was established was anger. You ain't nothing. You a jive turkey fool. You so. They're like, all right, wait till when they get bigger. Now they all the way out of control because they were a rebel. A lot of them are going to seek acceptance that they didn't get. They're going to look for it from somewhere else. They didn't get the acceptance and love from you, so they're going to go get it somewhere else. It could be a gang, it could be the street, it could be sex, drugs, anywhere.
I was just about to say I feel like it's harder on girls too when they don't have that love. Like the first time
you told them they want nothing, the first person says, "Oh man, look at you! I like them chunky thighs." Now they got their acceptance from Raw Dog Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
Then he throws her in the streets. Bends her over, strokes her out, Ubers her to the street. He took it away. She don't know what to believe, but she can't go back home because you telling her you ain't nothing. Now you lose too.
You know, something that I do every day. Something I do every day is I make sure I tell my kids that they're smart, they're intelligent. I make sure I tell my daughter that she's beautiful and my son handsome. Because the first time I heard anybody tell me I was beautiful, I was 17 years old. And I feel like no child should go through that. And when Sugar Bum says, who's telling these children that? It depends on where you grew up. Like I think that
most people aren't. She's telling the truth.
But it's like correct. But it's a lot of people, especially where I grew up on a pig farm from Mississippi. So what nobody like telling me none of that. They was telling me, because I was the darkest person, because I got 13 siblings. I was the darkest sibling. So everybody be like, oh, where that little black, I heard my some of my aunties say, oh, where that little black girl? They used to always say that because everybody else was light skinned. I was the darkest one. So they would say that, and then and I had like the shortest hair at the time, so they would be like, "Where that little bald head girl?" None of them was encouraging to me. None of them told me, "Oh, it should be," like nothing nice. Like I didn't hear nothing nice from them until I got older and started like making moves and getting accolades and stuff. But when I was growing up, and that's like why when I go home, I'm going to see my granny, I'm gonna see my daddy, I'm gonna see my mom, but everybody else, if you want to see me, you know where I'm at. I'm gonna be at my granny house. But I don't fool with them like that because that's all I heard from them growing up. So it does happen. So let's not make it seem like it doesn't happen. The thing is, a lot of stuff is lost on people that are ignorant to how you should speak to a child. And we don't talk about that enough. And how you should encourage a child. We don't talk about that enough. Instead, when uncle whoever at the barbecue, when they say something, everybody dismiss it or laugh it off.
Yeah, anticipation of gain and fear of loss are two motivators. Mm-hmm. But when people are more motivated by gain, they tend to do better. Mm-hmm. Notice how NFL players play in their final year of their contract. They play their hearts out, playing injured, cracking mouth, even cheating with steroids for that contract.
Yep.
But telling them you're going to suspend them and whatever. Notice players who get suspended keep getting resuspended. Mm-hmm. Some of them just quit.
Yeah.
Meaning fear is not that much of a motivator for a lot of people.
Yep.
Another effect is shame. It exposes that the shamer, the person doing the shame, they got problems. Let's just say you're shaming somebody and they know a little bit about influence, about leadership, or they're looking for something and they don't see it in you. They ain't gonna rock with you. All they see is you, another problem. Especially when you got single moms. 2 days after they get married, they get on the internet and start shaming all the single moms. Come on.
Thanks.
I was on a panel the other day, or people who's married, as soon as they get married, 18 other problems. Drunk, high, ugly, robbed a liquor store 2 weeks ago, shaming the single people. Weren't you just single 4 years ago? Y'all dealing with the hoes. You made half of them. You made half of them. Gave me their phone number and say, come on. Single shaming. I even say it, even fat shaming. And y'all know I got a mouth on me. But at the end of the day, anybody overweight, give me a call. I'll show you what you can do. Reach out to Mandrell, reach out to J Speed. They got channels. They'll show you how to get your health right. Don't look down on somebody unless you're willing to reach down and pick them up.
Because I was gonna say, male, fat male did exist. I think I had got up to like 213, and that was after I had my daughter. When I say after I had my daughter was like 8 months, and then I had gained all that weight. And I was just like, hold on, wait a minute. And somebody took a picture of me. And when I saw the picture, it was me and my son. I was like, oh my God, I got to do something. But then when I got back in shape, everybody was like, oh my God, you look so great. But I'm just so glad that it was only so I had, I think, like 3 people that told me, like, my face was getting fat, that, oh girl, you big, all this other stuff. And I'm like, you don't know what I'm going through right now. You don't know why I'm big. Like, don't do that. Like, ask me a question if I know I ain't looking how I used to look or whatever, because I'm 5'8", so 213 on me was a lot. And I was just like, okay, well, that's not how you talk to somebody.
Yeah, I'm about to start shaming Jedi Mike. He put on all this weight. I'm going to start shaming him.
198 not bad.
No, I'm just messing with him.
It's not bad.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I had got to a point at one time that I weighed more than my husband at the time, and then I was just like, okay, I got to do something. But it was so many other people, and they don't know how to talk to people or say anything to people. Like if I have a concern about like how you look or something like that, then just talk to me. You ain't got to be like, oh girl, your face getting fat and all this other stuff. But a lot of people don't say stuff out of real concern either. They just be saying it to have something to talk about. And I think that's something that we need to talk about as well, because a lot of people say stuff just to have something to talk about. It's not because it's genuine concern or anything. So they teach our kids or their kids in return to just, if you could be negative, be negative. It don't matter as long as you don't hurt your feelings.
Yeah, this travel one. So what's constructive fear? If you don't work, no money. If you don't pay mortgage, no shelter. If you don't pay bills, no heat, lights, etc. Is that responsibility or fear?
It's fear of being homeless. Don't nobody want to be
partially
homeless.
Fear. I'm gonna lean towards the fear side, but I'm gonna say, if I wanted to, this is my opinion. If I want to use punishment as a motivator, it has to be reinforcement based. There has to already be a plan established. This person wants to be an architect, engineer, whatever. The goal is here, and they're down here. So as I'm talking in the punishment form, they still know that the goal is up here. But if there's no goal, I'm not telling them how I'm going to help them get somewhere and become a better person. All I'm doing is pushing them further and further and further and further down. So if I'm telling somebody, hey, if you don't work, if you don't, there got to be a plan already in place. So I might phrase it different. Hey, dude, you said you was trying to be the starting quarterback for your high school, and you keep eating butterbean pies and you skip practice 4 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't going to be playing. You're not. Let's just be real. But there's a goal in mind, which means we already talked about him starting. Hey, you need to start running. You start running now. I want some push-ups right now. I want them now. Go get that football. Go get the cleats on. That's if I was a coach. So it's still reinforcement based, but at the time there's a punishment. So I don't want just people fear. And then next thing you know, they just lost. Everything's negative in their mind. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute.
I think people overlook though, like when we talk about it, if to answer the question, when we say responsibility, where do we think like when you say that, where do you think that came from? Because a lot of times if we talk about responsibility, it's responsibility because at times somebody might have said, I can't wait for you to grow up and get out of my house. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I know I need to grow up and do my own thing or get what my parents have. So like, let's be perfectly honest if we're going to talk about it, because I didn't want to leave my house at 17. I could have stayed where I was at and then been able to matriculate the right way into society. However, I felt like I got to go. I got to get out. I got to get out of here because now I'm older.
There's actually a show that I have in the works. I'll probably bring E-Man on that one. Okay. That's a show I'm having in the works for later about the position that people are put in.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Let people stay if it takes till 21, 24, and they can save up a whole down payment. Mm-hmm. If they're married, living in the house, 6 months, save up for, I'm just saying. Or you got a college student in survival mode. They won't even go to no parties because they're so scared. They don't want to make sure they don't even have to come home during the summer break. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that's creating a fear and creating a bad environment, which is punishment versus reinforcement. Hey, if you get a 3.4, your 3.4 or higher, your freshman year, come home, no rent, no electricity, eat everything out the fridge. Reinforcement.
And you know something that's so crazy, because like I'm a blended family now, but I was talking to husband about that, and I was like, listen, because we got two. Well, I got one in college now, little there, but and then I got two more that's going out. And I was talking, me and him was having the same conversation. It was like, as long as they need to be here, and as long as they're doing something, I don't mind them being here. It's fine. I was like, if they going to school, if they working or whatever, let them like kind of get into life before life gets into them. I don't see the big problem with it. And then if you think about it, a lot of other cultures, you can be at your house till you well married, all this other stuff. And a lot of grandmamas, as soon as they daughter or their son have a baby, what they do, take care of them for at least a year so they ain't got to pay for daycare. It makes sense. I don't know, but a lot of shit be making sense to me that it may not make sense to nobody else. But I'm just like, listen, if I had got that leg off, I'm telling you, I'd probably be I say a millionaire. Well, I would have been okay. Let me keep that one because I was gonna say something else. But earlier in life, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Sugar Bum, it's not just the hood, and it's 2-parent households too. I'm just saying.
That's very true, and I don't know why everybody try to make it seem like it's just
Sugar Bum, type whatever. Well, within reason, type what you want. Freedom of speech over here, as long as they ain't out of control. Speak your mind.
I don't think it was out of control. And let me tell you this: I'm not.
No, I just saw she withdrew a couple of messages.
I saw it. Yeah, type back what you said. But I'm not from the hood. I'm from, like I say, a very poor place in Mississippi. But it's a lot of people that go through this that have 2 parents in the household, and they still getting kicked out and all this other stuff. Like, let's not, like, we act like
me
because stuff ain't talked about don't mean it's not real. And I hate that everybody want to sugarcoat everything else. What the fuck are you sugarcoating it for? And it is what it is. Let's be perfectly honest. If we're gonna have an honest discussion, let's have an honest discussion.
Yeah. My parents are married. It was a 2-parent household. Me, my brother, and sister had our phases, but we'd almost rather sleep in the car than go home. We had the phases, but as it got older, it changed. Just whatever. So it's not like we're over here gloomed and doomed. But
well, no, I'm not saying.
Go ahead.
Are you? I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying a lot of people, they want to glaze over like some.
Oh, not everybody. No, not everybody.
It's not. When I say everybody, I'm so sorry because I shouldn't be general, because it's not everybody. But a lot of people like to glaze over facts, like we don't know like what's going on in the world or what's going on in real life. No, I see what you said.
Another thing, 2 things, and then I'm gonna drop the link. I promise. The problem with shame and punishment is people believe that it works. So you have 3 or 4 kids. Some of them get traumatized. Some become rebellious. Some of them believe it works. They turn out okay. So they think, hey, I don't see what the problem is. If you just take the trash out, you wouldn't get beat all the time, or you wouldn't have to sleep in the garage. So they go and they do it and they repeat it and they promote it. Oh, we need to start torturing people and they'll get in line. Almost like, I hate going to slavery. Hey, if we just do what master tell us to do, we wouldn't get beat. I don't see the problem. Y'all just won't fall in line with the program. It's conditioning. Some people think like that, and it repeats. But the truth is, punishment is still a negative action. And the last thing I was going to say, fear, too much fear, and putting people too much in survival mode restricts critical thinking. It challenges people not to ask why because of fear of a consequence, not to do something different, fear of consequence, not to try to do enhancements. Nope, I got to stay right here in this line because I got to survive. I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get divorced. I don't want these bad things. So I got to stay right here in this box. I gotta. They're in survival mode the whole time. Because when they were 5, when they were 12, whenever, they didn't have the option to start asking why. There was no connection. Everything was punished. There was no, hey, I challenge you to do better. Show me a better way to do this. So it gets restricted. They become a robot. I'm going to drop the link, and preferably priority anybody who disagrees. anything that's said in the conversation. And I'm fairly neutral, though I'm biased. Hey, come on, let's talk about it. But if not, the link has been dropped. Anybody wants to join in the conversation, come on up, because I want to hear what other people have to say regarding shame, regarding reinforcement, punishment. Otherwise, this will be a shorter show than normal.
I hate when
But
people and I'm just picking this coming out specifically
okay,
because Sugar Mom said, my thing is, when do we get over how we were raised? When do we take accountability for the decisions that we make as adults? You will never be like over how you was raised. You do have to make that decision, a good thing or a bad thing, because it's not necessarily how you were raised. And when you say take accountability, like what accountability are you talking about? Because we was talking about how we're raising like kids and fear and stuff like that. You still like you take accountability for yourself and how you move, but at the end of the day, what we talking about is projecting some stuff we went through and projecting some stuff that we probably don't know better about on our kids. That's exactly what we was talking about. Sometimes you don't know that you have to take accountability anything because you don't know no better. If you don't know no better, you don't do better. So
I'll explain it like this. There are some things that I had lingering in my mind that happened as like I didn't have a rough childhood. Let me clear that up. So I wasn't dropped and thrown and beat with a brick and no. But it was some little things. It was stuff that happens in life. And I'm holding a grudge and I got to deal with it. It's trauma. It might not be severe, but it's still trauma, and it lingers into your subconscious. That's what it does. Mm-hmm. Some people have had severe stuff and they're almost not even supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Problems.
So Dust, how much do you believe in therapy? Like once you get older?
I'm not a good reference because I don't have severe trauma, so I've never been to therapy. The things I've dealt with, I can have those conversations and resolve them. Just like I talked to my dad a few months ago. When we were younger, we got whoopings. I asked him, if you can go back, would you? He's like, no, I wouldn't have done it. And he explained why. Hey, we was whooped. We was spanked, slapped around, all that. That was just what people did. So when he grew up, he thought that was what you do. But as he went in the Navy and grew up around church or whatever, he saw other people doing other things. Like, let me try this. Let me try that. So a lot of the whooping and the initial thinking changed into something else because he decided, hey, let me learn how to be a better parent. My mom, the same thing. So I didn't have dramatic trauma to where I needed to go, but I can understand how someone else would. I was able to make peace with every and almost anything that I've ever dealt with.
Sugar Mom need to come up because she
ain't gonna come up. That's the head troll. She runs the Trolluminati.
I see that. I'm gonna make her a shirt.
Sugar Bum, it's two sides. There's because you know me, I'm always getting on the people about blaming the women's for everything. There's some people who are using trauma. Some people are marinating trauma and they need help. And they are the way they are because of what happened. That's a fact. If you want to encourage them, you have to meet them where they are first. If a person feels like they want to be a 7, but they're really a 2, you have to talk to them on a 2 level and try to motivate them to get to a 3, to the 4, to the 5. 7 ain't free. But if they're just talking about the government owe me something or whatever, I get it. Dust them off. Especially if they're saying it every day. That's just somebody using it as a crutch. The answer to that is just no.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not saying it that you can't still like have.
I agree with this comment. Parent classes be mandatory.
I think
some form of that, as well as marriage counseling. But
I think they should too. I'm not gonna lie. Like with my with my first marriage, well, I've only had two now. Well, so my first marriage, I feel like if we would have went to counseling beforehand, that it probably would have been better than like how it ended. Like I don't think I ever would have got divorced, but because we didn't have those conversations and stuff like that, it's like we went on the same page with a lot of stuff. And so like I've already made sure that that was gonna happen with my second marriage. But I agree with you, Robin. Most black men need therapy, but they might need therapy for different reasons. So if you could put in the comments what you mean by that.
The Sugar Bum and Robin M are who they are.
Oh well, I don't know, because you know I be skipping over people's comments.
Welcome to the stage, Simon Hectic. What's
How
going
you
on,
doing?
Simon?
How's it going?
What's
I'm
going
glad.
on?
I'm glad you got your channel up, man. I think you bring some real good talking points. So yeah, I've been listening in the background. Salute, Mel. Nice to meet you. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I don't know. As a parent, speaking as a parent, I went through some stuff when I was growing up. Jesus, I went through some stuff when I was growing up, but I do understand, that people have trauma and stuff like that. But I think as adults, it's our job to actually work on ourselves so that we can understand, what we're doing as parents, because when we're sort of, I don't even like the word reinforcement. It sounds like a punishment in itself. So like dealing with children in particular, like being a parent, I try not to be negative in any shape or form, because the repercussions down the line is worse than what you're trying to sort of deal with in the present. So I try not to. I know I kind of wild on YouTube, but as a parent, that I there's no way like I'm bringing anything negative into that person's life, and also sort of like just planning and preparing for the future. I mean, I take it as my responsibility to ensure that, for example, my daughter's not having to feel like she's having to leave the house at 17 years old. I know that was a cultural thing, especially in my culture, but I don't want her thinking that that's something that she needs to think about. So I've already sort of had to sort of put something together and ensure that she understands what it's going to look like for her as a teenager when she transitions out of the house. And that also means understanding things like just money and just getting by and, being healthy and stuff like that.
Okay, well
Yeah.
that makes sense what you're saying. I absolutely understand what you're saying. But at
Yeah,
the
I'm a
same
promoter. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say how many like parents are actually sitting down having those conversations when their kids like leave the house and stuff, or having to, like, if like a kid feels like they have an obligation to go to work when they're like 14, 15 and stuff. We're not having these conversations. We're not talking to kids. We're not making sure that kids feel like they protected. And I feel like that's a problem in a lot of communities, because like Dusto was saying, a lot of people there are operating out of fear because they don't know the next step and they don't have any guidance in the right step, or the guidance that they have is like, okay, well, you got to figure this out because you got to leave this house when you turn a certain age.
Yeah, I'm gonna go real. I'm really gonna go in when I do that show.
Yeah.
About the 18, use a man's now, get out there and. But I'm gonna save all my comments for when I do that show.
Mm.
But salute to Simon, talking positivity into his kids. Welcome to the stage, newlywed Jedi Mike. And he just got fat, so I'm gonna fat shame him, but I'm gonna do that in the back chat.
Yeah, and I'm not getting fat, but you see my face is fuller because I'm happy. I'm blessed, you know. So yeah,
Well, your
um,
face gain weight before the rest of your body, so
Yeah,
I
I'm
ain't
losing weight. You see veins sticking out of my forehead now. I done lost
right.
weight.
No, like if you see like a year ago, like a year or two ago, again like everything is feel like it's filling in and stuff. So it's like I'm at a good size though. That's what I've been told. But anyway,
Fat.
um, but yeah, I thought this is a good conversation too. Again, it's about parenting. There's like a lot of things factor in terms of when to apply discipline, and also when to apply understanding, and knowing that how to handle situations that you're
Hey,
translating. Oh,
Jedi, hold on a second.
go ahead.
Can I get some positive reinforcement by people hitting the like button and subscribing and the other stuff? Just a little bit of positive reinforcement. And those who really want to positive reinforce, the Cash App is right here, Dustosphere. Continue, Jedi.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I think again, just we have to understand that there's certain patterns behavior that that parents can pass down to their children, but also understanding that they're human too. I realized that when I was younger, like I'm the only child, and there were some things where again, when discipline came, my mom was usually one at home, my dad was at work, and basically she always had to say, "Hey, I'm gonna tell your dad," and then basically you would just act in line and everything. But I wasn't really a problem child or anything like that. But just kind of just showing you guys that dynamic. Um, but again, the one important thing too is just that times are changing, especially when regards to like mental health and everything. Like both my parents are in their 60s, so like they can come from like a generation where probably sitting down and having a conversation or talking about thoughts and feelings and everything might not be that widely expressed. So, and with that, that can cause some type of hindrance in terms of you being a parent, not being reciprocated on certain situations go on with your child. And realize, honestly, like, why now they're in college, all of a sudden they're having a mental breakdown and everything. They're having this pattern of behavior back in high school. You just weren't paying attention. And then all of a sudden, now they're on their own, they're at their breaking point. And, and, and one thing I can also encourage with parents, watching this conversation also is to give yourself grace, too, because I know we're in the things where we take for granted a lot. And now, just me as just being a husband, where it's like I have to, um, seeing this position where like eventually I'll be a father soon, but I realize now as just being a man, not instead of being a child, that there be situations now I have conversations with my mom, my dad, but particularly with my mom, where she said, "Hey, listen, if I done anything where I mistreated you or hold you back, whatever, I apologize." And said, "Well, I'm sorry for apologize to you if I took you for granted and certain times in my life." But not knowing that again, you just eat the meat and spout the bones and all that stuff like that, and just understand that's where how to not increase your level of self-awareness when these situations happen, especially when you're dealing with children. So
Well, bro, I think you know what? I think you said an important thing, and I think it's so hard for like a lot of our parents, like now that we're older, because I'm not quite sure how old you are, but I'm 35. Like when my daddy sat down with me and he apologized to me about like some of the stuff that I saw growing up and like all this other stuff, and it wasn't like I saw nothing crazy, but he did used to put his hands on my mom, and that's why they're not together anymore. But he was just, and I told him, I was like, Dad, I was like, I forgave you a long time ago. I was like, maybe you need to start forgiving yourself. And he said that meant so much to him that it wasn't that I was over it, because I ain't gonna say that he wasn't wrong, but him and my mom right now, best friends. Like if something, like I call my dad sometimes, like, can you go out there? My mom wanted you to come out there and help her with this or that. He going the first thing. When I ain't talked to him for 2 days in a row, I said, "Ma," I was like, "I ain't talked to my dad for 2 days." And then she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to go out there and check on him." Like they still love each other, but I can understand why they can't be together, because I can understand like what he did to my mom, and she not over it. But just the simple fact that me and him had that conversation, and then me and my mom, we had a separate conversation, because one thing that I said I wasn't gonna do is like I never grow up with that, because I watched her go through that, and it was not a good time. But at the same time, it's like their relationship, I love it so much because I can talk to both of them we can be in the same space. Like he go with like to her house all the time when she cook or whatever. And it's just like I think it just needs to be more conversations had. And I feel like at times people are afraid to have these conversations because they don't know how it's gonna make them feel. And that's when I talk about therapy, because therapy don't have to be going into a therapist. It could actually just be having a conversation with somebody. And everybody think, oh, therapy, I gotta go to the doctor, whatever.
Yeah.
You can, and that can be a form of therapy. So everybody's afraid.
It's true.
Right. I said this before when it came to conversation between mental health between like men, that sometimes therapy is talking to your father, especially on a men's side, that us expressing emotion has not been one of our greatest attributes or in a way we will exemplify love in our own particular way. But simply just as a man, if I like as a father, I want to hug my child, even that is something powerful. But we kind of, just in terms of our own generation of just mentally be conditioned to respond in a certain way to love and care for people. That's where we are right now. But again, like to that point, in terms of conversations, and you guys are actually briefly talked about this, is that the reason why these conversations are not had because we want to reject reality. Just because we have to take a step back and get out of the way of our pride sometimes, because just because we're hurt doesn't mean we're right, and just because someone have done you wrong doesn't mean that that I should hold this person in terms of them like this is the person who they always going to be for the rest of their lives and my life, right? It's like, hey, that was a season that you were in your life, and I forgive you. And let's say that someone actually done some growth and care, repenting and everything like that, and actually grown. And then it's like for me, it's like I want to hold you accountable, obviously for your actions and stuff. But again, realize, what, I forgive you. But again, still like with the example you gave to your, with your parents and stuff like that, that conversation really would not be had today, because again, it's like, because it's easy just to, hate somebody. It's easy just to cut them off. Easy just to say, you know what, screw you, I'm not even going to talk to you. But what takes strength and what also exemplifies character, because is exemplifying, you know what, I'm going to take the harder route. Actually, you know what, I forgive you, and I want, still will have you somewhat part of my life. But now also just because of the consequences of your action, I have to establish a boundary. Doesn't mean that you're cut off completely, but that's just what I have to do to protect myself. And that is an example of just healthy relationships and healthy, decision making that you're making for yourself, but also for your children.
So you don't have no kids yet, do you?
Trying, man, no, not yet.
Oh, well, okay, trying it. Oh, on the way. I'll speak that into existence. So when you have when you have your first kid, do you think you'll be able to sit down and have conversations and like actually have actual dialogue with your kids, or what's your expectation?
Yeah, I think just because who I am as a person, where it's like I'm known to be the one asking people how, are you okay, how you doing, and sit down, let's talk. Yeah, I'm gonna be talking to my child when they're two, even when they're not pronouncing full words. I'm just like, hey, like there's a video, and I know you guys probably saw this online, but like a kid and the fathers, they're all sitting on the couch, right, and they're talking about a movie, right, and I'm a movie guy, right. And the kid just going, just doing filibustering or whatever and making words, but the dad just acting like he's understanding, like yeah, I don't understand that. Even then, like you continue that is still establishing some type of like, oh, I have a father that's listening to me. Whether you think that child's responding in full sentences, whatever, and actually understand what's going on, like that is still you're cognitively or conditioning your child saying, listen, I can go to this person if I have to say something, and they're able to listen, even at early ages too. And you think it's ridiculous with anything, but it's really critical and also lead to their development.
I can agree with that, because me and KG, we had a whole conversation. I think he was like 2, and I was telling him why he had to take a nap, and he had a whole conversation with me. I had recorded it because he's like, why I gotta take a nap? It's the middle of the day. But it was just so funny because I was like, yeah, I've always like given him like a space where he could talk to me about anything. And that's why I feel real confident, like with all like my godson and the rest of my sons, because it's only one girl in the whole family, which is difficult too. It's like all of them know that they can sit down and they be like, Mom, and we'll sit down and talk. Like we'll talk about whatever. Even my bonus kids, like we'll sit down and talk. Like I have no problem talking to them, and they know they can talk to me about anything. But I haven't had any trouble out of them too, and I think that makes a difference as well. Like when you actually talk to your kids, see what's going on in their life or whatever, you don't have to worry about, if they need to tell you something or making bad decisions or whatever. And I think that becomes a factor as well. Like if you actually had that like honest dialogue with them about like life and what they want to do, because I make my kids like every month we write down new goals, but we don't just write down the goals, we write down how to reach those goals. Because you can't just tell me I want to be a millionaire and then you was like, that's it. No, how we gonna become a millionaire? Like, tell me like what you gonna do to do that. So I was like, I just want y'all to process how life gonna work, because you can't just say I want to be a millionaire and then that's it. How we gonna get there? What are you doing now?
Yeah.
So
yeah, with that, it's like an example that Denzel Washington said, and I always kept saying this quote. I like watching stuff with motivation and everything, but like Denzel Washington always said, this is never a mistake movement with progress, because you can run in place for a very long time and tire yourself out, right? So again, like establishing those goals, which like with my wife, like she's done an amazing job, like writing goals down in front of me or just around the house, or even like my lunchbox when I go to work and stuff like that. It's like little small things,
oh
that
no,
mean the
that's
work.
big. That's big.
Yeah.
That's why I love your wife, because first of all, she put in her cape on real quick in the group chat. But my thing is, it's like if you don't, I feel like as a married person, and then especially with y'all like working on kids or whatever, hopefully I'll be working on my last one. Well, I've been working on my last one, but it's like little things, and people don't understand this. It's like when you have a man, and then it does feed off into your children. When you have a man and you motivate him and give him them little goals, even write like notes in the lunchbox and stuff like that, people don't understand how much that means and how much that'll change your whole day. Like people be wanting to talk about being married, they be wanting to talk about having kids, but a lot of people don't have what it takes, because will I say it's easy? It's not easy. I feel like I ain't slept in like 3 days, but guess what? All 7 of my kids good. Well, so and my husband good, so I'm just like, I'm all right.
I got a question.
I'm trying to look at this comment that Robin put.
I
already responded to that.
I had a question. I'm gonna start with Jedi with this one, the newlywed. Mel brought this up. With I think she might have brought it up on the show, but she brought it up outside of the show. Reinforcement and punishment also happen in relationships between man and woman, husband and spouse. I just noticed, Tamika, and why I put it up on the screen, and why I always say good things when y'all come up and keep saying newlywed, congratulations to Jedi. I don't see married people promoting. I don't see that many married people really promoting the whole thing of successful marriage. I'm single and I'm still promoting. In the relationship, just like if I'm going to promote, all right, I'm off track. Let me get it together. Hold on.
I know where you're going.
I think I know where you're going. But
I like that song, Tamika speak positive and positivity into her husband while he's on this panel, which is called support. It's also positive reinforcement. I take it you have a smile on your face when you click this red X and you go talk to her. Am I off?
No, you're not off with that. I think we've been told about a lot of people from not only on YouTube but in also in our life that me and my wife should actually start something together about like doing content, but off the early stages of marriage. Because one thing I also want to establish too, just as a married person, that I don't see myself higher than anybody in this space or just in life. I just see myself as a higher, elevation of myself, right? And I feel like I am a better man now because I am married, but I don't think I'm better than everybody else. I'm just because like I'm not in competition with anyone else but other than myself. But with that that excuses pride, and also invites also humility. So when someone say, you know what, all right, I'm around Michael and speaking and have a nice relationship, whatever, and like, maybe I want to be that. But the thing is that if you want to, in terms of encouraging commitment in one thing, whether you believe in the institution of marriage or not, I'm not going to go in that conversation. But if you believe in marriage, I think we also have a responsibility to making sure that we express the rawness of marriage, not understanding that yes, it's an enlightening thing, but when these difficult things happen, when you see divorces and or see just the talking points kind of going like, and I would say the stereotype of just being married in the space, I just want to make sure that I'm coming from a place of humility, but more importantly, integrity. Is that yes, like we're gonna have problems, but we know to address those problems, in house. And that if I have an example, like they have a conflict, whatever, I'm gonna give you what the real stuff, not like, oh, she did not submit to me today, or I asked for this and she gave me a plastic plate, but I asked for on a glass plate, whatever. She is a modern woman, oh, modern, right? No, that's not reality. Reality is, hey, we're trying to get this house, whatever, so we can, start having these kids and everything, but we have to, build up our credit score, something like that. Hey, we got some student loan debt we gotta do. Shout out to October, and the government and everything, about to get those prepayments, y'all. Yeah, and we had to pay that off, whatever. It might take about 2 years if we do this. Hey, we might have to cut off on in terms of, certain date nights. We can still have date night, but just can't go to these nice restaurants for this month. If we save it, we can actually do this XYZ. If we, hey, you know what? Probably need to get a new car right now because, even though I'm not be driving that much, let's actually invest in this, put on down payment on a car, and we can pay this off in 6 or 7 months, and then we can get to XYZ. That is reality. That is reality. But the thing about it is that conversation will never be happening on this space because we don't want to talk about it, because it doesn't invite people to be like, oh, I want to see the drama and everything. No. And that's why this thing of marriage is not a game for the weak, which is why I don't say this is for everybody. It's not for everybody, but it's for me. It's for Mel. And I think it's for other people too, if you actually put the work into it, But again, it's like it's a choice. It's free will, but again, it's like when I try to show myself here, I don't put a facade there, because definitely this space comes from a place of hypocrisy, especially from both sides. People who are not married and people who are married. Let's just be honest. And again, I said this before to on another platform, but someone who is married, and I'm not going to say any content creators' names, but for people that, on behalf of married people in this space, people who felt they were, judged or being, looked down upon or anything like that, and kind of like, oh, you have no value because you don't have no ring on your finger, you're not married, whatever. I will offer you a sincere apology, because this is a lightning thing for a lot of us, or at least for me, in terms of being married. However, I'm not going to say that just because now I am married that you're beneath my foot. That's not what I feel like we're supposed to be doing. What I invite and when I go on these spaces talking about the joy of commitment, joy of relationship, and that's the root of it. Anybody can have a ring on their finger, but commitment is through perseverance.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. You said so many good things, and the first thing I want to highlight and shout out to Tamika, when you said that she makes you be a better man. Shout out, sis, for real. But doing stuff together, y'all working together, y'all having these conversations, but when y'all keep y'all problems in house, like when I got divorced from David, nobody, like, it was years later when people even found out I had got divorced, because whatever we had going on was in our house. And I'm not gonna dog you, I'm not gonna trash you, and if anybody even tried to say anything about my ex-husband, I'll be like, no, you're not gonna talk about Kingston and Caden's dad. Yes, that's my ex-husband, but it is what it is. But it's just like, it's so many little things. Like even now with my current husband, like I think we only ever had one argument, but it was stupid. But it was because, it was stupid. Anyway, but it's like we do stuff together. Like if I tell him, I'm like, babe, we gotta make sure, like, we saving for this, or we doing this, or we buying a new car. Like, we not eating out this month. He like, okay, babe. Like me and him can get on the same page and talk about stuff. And I feel like a lot of more married couples, they need to talk about stuff.
Mel, check the back chat.
I'm talking to you now.
She said,
Oh.
But,
Nah, here's the deal.
It
Oh, go
just
ahead.
needs to be a conversation a lot of times, and people get into relationships and they think they want long-term relationships, but like you say, it's not for the weak. Like being like with somebody a long time, it's hard at times because I have my days where I'm just off, I'm tired, whatever. I still try to do my due diligence, but I don't want to do nothing. And he might have his days where he just want to be with the boys. I'm good with that. We just got to make sure we have a conversation. So I think that's a lot. But yeah, the fact that y'all all like y'all have that open dialogue, do not lose that at all, because that's like one of the most things, like communication. It's a lot. And when you stop talking, y'all just gonna be in the house looking at each other.
Yeah, I know. Just as far as in the communicate, like I'll say, this panel foundation is going to be communication and solution based. That's what it's going to be. I have friends who are successfully married. When they have arguments and they have problems or whatever, something wrong. You see 1, 2, 3 different married couples, people that I know. So it's not just people putting on the front. These are people I know. And they give me hell, meaning they know I'm single and they actually can give me direction and actually be legit stuff. They don't argue with their spouses. They have conversations. They understand I'm this person, this is a different person. Let's sit down and talk. So it's not all the negative. I'm gonna take this away, man. You know what? It's not all this stuff. It's just conversation. The more positive, the higher on the positive level, the more positive result that you get. I experienced it, and I'm not married, but I've had of 3 girlfriends that I've had, 2 of them I should have married. I take, since y'all love it, I take accountability. Y'all love that so much. No, I'll speak on myself. I didn't know everything that I know about all this emotional intelligence and sitting listening, and I didn't know you don't marry for today, you marry for tomorrow.
right.
And the person you meet today, the foundation, they're gonna rock with you regardless of whatever. That's 90% of it right there. I didn't get that. I was focused on today. So I let some people go. They got married to somebody else, which shows you that they were wives. But we just communicated. There was no bashing. There was no negativity. Oh, you ain't do this. Why you ain't you? There's no pointing down. Therefore, everything was 90% positive.
Yeah. The thing is
I just got to do this one more time. Just one more. I'm good. And I ain't gonna mess it up the next time. Go ahead. Was that Simon?
yeah, sorry. I mean,
Go ahead.
I've just been listening, but I totally agree. You know, the thing is I think what Jedi is doing is really good. You just got people out here talking about vetting, and like they seem to have some sort of role play book in terms of how to find a spouse, but most of the time it's really about you just finding the right person. That takes a while for you to understand yourself. Like, you need to understand yourself first before you start getting into relationships, and especially if you want to have a long-term relationship, you really need to understand what you're about on a basic level. Like, because it's like that thing when like, if you've never had a child, and I get some of my nieces and nephews going, oh, I want to have a child, but they've only babysat. Like, they've never really, like, they don't really understand what it's like to have a child screaming in your face 24 hours a day, like, and doing all, changing nappies and dealing with baby food, not being able to bring them to the doctor because, like, they can't take certain types of medicine. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. You need to really, like, think about what you're getting yourself involved with, especially if you're trying to sort of bring another life into this world. And most people don't want to do that straight away. It's like initially is infatuation, maybe lust. They're not really thinking about, yo, I'm dealing with a whole person, and this person has a life, and someone brought them up, and what that took. It takes a lot to raise a child. Everyone, we're all here on this panel. Someone raised us. Someone brought us here. Someone enabled the breath in our system. Someone did that. So that could be taken for granted. Um, and the thing is, it's the same when you go into like marriage. When you say for better or for worse, for me it was for better or for worse. Period. Like I ain't getting married again. I ain't even playing like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe, I don't know. I might be wrong. I'm not saying I got the answers to all the questions, but I'm just saying, when I met my wife, it was a solid 10, and 5 before that, and probably another 5 after that. So that was 20 years of my damn life that I gave to this lady. And at the end of the day, I have no grievances about it. And another misconception I find about what's being put out here about marriage is the fear that someone's going to take whatever you've got from you. Like, they break up with you and they're going to take 50 of whatever you've got. Nah, that's not necessarily the case.
All of it.
That's not
take all
necessarily.
That's negative punishment.
Yes.
Instead of positive reinforcement.
I'm gonna say what I really think it is. A lot of people, the reason that even if you divorce or you're not married yet, is because you don't know yourself. And the thing is, people need time to heal and learn themselves before they jump into relationships and stuff like that. But we don't talk about that because I had to learn myself too. So you have to learn like little things that you like. And then I feel like meeting somebody organically. I don't think that like, and that's why I wouldn't use any dating apps or nothing like that, because I want to meet somebody organically, doing something that I'm doing regular. Like for real. Like I go to the grocery store, I go to the gym, I go to Target, which is Target, if y'all don't know, Target, and I take the kids and stuff to the park and their events. If I'm not meeting you in something that I already do, I'm not trying to meet you, because that means you telling me off bad we don't have the same interest. Or when I'm coaching, but we don't have the same interest. So it's a lot of little things, but sometimes, and I don't like going outside, you might just need to go outside. Don't say you will never get married again. Just say it might not be the right time for you, because I feel like you still not over like whatever happened with your ex.
No, that's a misconception.
I say if somebody doesn't. Oh, go ahead, Simon.
That's a misconception, and it's one of many misconceptions. I have no problem with my ex, and this is the thing. Like the misconception out here is that you break up badly. I didn't break up badly with my ex. I have no problem with her. We have a child. We get on. We're even better than we were when we were married. To be fair, you get what I'm saying? So that's just something.
That's not a misconception. What I'm saying is, you got to make sure that you're good. When I say good, like mentally and everything, before you like can go back in another relationship. So I'm not saying you're not over her like that, like it was a bad breakup. I'm saying, are you sure you even ready to go into a relationship?
Well, yeah, I don't want to go there. I'm cool. I'm raising my child at the moment. I'm cool. We're good. Like I'm not really interested. Like 10 years is a long time to be with someone day in, day out. Like smelling their bad breath and everything. Like you have to accept people. You have to accept people for who they are. And the fact is I still love her and she still loves me. There's no problem.
You're gonna always love her. Y'all got a child together.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing. Now that you've just gone there, this thing about we try to make out like we're not married to somebody because we've left them, although we have a child with them. You're still married to that person one way or another. You're connected to that person.
No, I don't say not married. You still connected.
Yeah, we're family.
Yeah, y'all gonna always be family, and that's fine. And whoever you like date in the future should be understanding of that, because I feel like I'm still connected as well. However, I think that you should be good to have something else. I don't want anybody that's been divorced to completely close off their heart. So that's
Yo,
the
my,
thing.
my, my heart's open and full, and I'm still here out in the world. This not I'll tell you something. The most
Simon,
important
you
thing.
trying to sling dick and that's it. That's what I feel like. To be perfectly
That,
honest.
I won't
okay,
say that. I mean,
I've
just
been
there
celibate
are
for
people
2
who just
years.
don't.
Like, what are you talking
The
about?
people who don't want to get married.
I don't look.
I would
I'm
really
just
like
saying.
this person to be on thinking on the panel.
After 10 years, it's not. It don't feel the same. It's not the same thing. Like, I don't know. How long was you married for?
Me?
Yeah. How long was you
Oh, right
married
at
for?
10 years.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and
you must know what I'm talking about. It
I
don't
know
yeah,
feel
what
I'm
the
gonna
you're
same.
reply
talking
to trouble. Yeah, I'm gonna reply to trouble one's comment. Law and order must prevail. You do the crime, do the time. Punishment reinforced. Innocent citizens need to be protected, but black women. Here's the deal, travel one. Just being honest. If you put out more positive energy, you'll receive it more of it in return. Is it guaranteed? No.
and you have a
Is
good
it
day.
this one person? No.
Mm-mm.
But if you are a positive person, you speak higher about black men, you're going to get a better response.
Facts.
Even if it's 2%. Even if it's you meet one other person or one person who ain't that ugly. It's 1, 2. But the problem is, and I'm gonna start with let's be real. The men are supposed to be these leaders or whatever. They are negative. They're negative towards each other. Therefore, the women who follow are negative. The women who push back are negative. Them going back and forth at the women are negative. And the space is very negative. Positive spaces are the most positive of people don't want negativity. There are people that I've met, me personally, and I'm ugly, but
You
I've
know
met
something that's
women who are negative I won't talk to ever again because I don't want the energy. There are positive people I meet that I call all the time. There are women I dated that are positive I would do anything for. I'm just saying.
you know what's so
I'll
crazy?
just
Like
leave it at that.
maybe you need to travel one, you need to practice some positivity. Like every day, say something good about yourself in the mirror. And then when you go out, say something good about somebody else. It don't have to be nothing big. Like I just went out somewhere and told somebody, I was like, oh, I like your shoes. But I've already talking to myself in the mirror and told myself that, you're a good mom, you doing this, you doing that. So sometimes people, you have to practice positivity. So that might be your problem, man. If you start being a little bit more positive, then you might see greater results in your life.
Yeah, I put it this way. Positive person talking to a positive person is good. Positive person talking to a negative person, question mark, because it depends on how positive you are and how much positivity they're willing to deal with. If they don't deal with it, leave them alone. Leave them in the gutter. Troll them. A
Mm-hmm.
negative person to a positive person, only if the positive person accepts it, they either get pulled down or they're going to pull the negative person up.
Mm-hmm.
But two negative people or army full of negative people beating the hell out of each other is pretty much what the manosphere and all these spaces are. I just come, and honestly, I'll just come troll them and get the hell up out of there. It doesn't reflect my real life. Sugar Bomb telling the truth to men is seen as negative. That tells you who those men are. They're negative. Sorry. I'm not on the side with men and women. I'm for better communication. I'm for more positive energy. Now, trolling and dust or whatever, that's entertainment. But the real conversation is what it is. I'm not going to keep y'all all night. We're going to go on to final thoughts. Going all the way back to the beginning. Anything you got on reinforcement versus punishment. And you can throw the word shame in there if you want. I'm going to start with Simon Hectic once I figure out how to work this big screen. Here we go. Simon, tell us something we don't know. Final thoughts.
I don't know if I could do that. but I'm gonna try. So, I think reinforcement is very important, but it's just the way you do it. You don't have to shout and scream at somebody. You don't have to be physical. You don't have to be violent. You gotta really understand, what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to pursue, especially dealing with children. Pick up on the little details. See their little actions. Don't try to get yourself too distracted. I know a lot of us out here just trying to drop our children off at this place and that place and not actually pay attention to them. Pay attention to them. Like, watch their little actions, and you'll find it easier in the future to deal with it, because they're going to pick up on the fact that you actually paid attention to them. And that's what most children want. They want your time. They don't really care about money and all the rest of it. Yeah, send them some toys and whatever, birthday gifts and all the rest of it. But realistically, when they look back, and I'm sure us as adults, we do the same thing. When you look back, is the time factor that you was in their life. So reinforce time, less punishment. We don't need punishment. Teach them not to go out and do bad things, and then punishment won't necessarily come into their life. But peace. Thank you, Scam, for having me. Salute. I don't even want to talk about people in the chat, but I'm watching, and this is a very, very good topic. Jedi, yeah, salute, sir, and congratulations on your progress. Mass, thank you very much for allowing me to come up here.
All right, appreciate you, Simon. Welcome anytime. We'll drop you down in the back. Oh, also, before I get to, I'm gonna bring Jedi up next. Any moderators, drop any of the links of all the people that we support. Drop any links in the chat. Anybody, as long as we support them. Jedi, what we got going on? Positive and reinforcement versus punishment. Shane, what we got? What's going on? Tell us something.
Again, there's a way to provide positive reinforcement or shame. You just gotta pick, which one you want to use. To me, I go about, my life, a certain way. That there's any opportunity to grow and to understand more, I'll take it. And I feel like there's something that we can actually learn ourselves, that there might be some areas we might not be looking into in terms of like situations and difficult situations, to be exact. And again, I thought this was a good conversation just from many different factors, not relationships, parenting, and everything like that. But I hope, again, you guys share this video. This was really good conversation we had here. Thank you for Mel being on the panel and everything, adding a great perspective and dialogue as well. And but yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, congratulations! Shout out to Tamika for the support also.
Always, thank you.
Lose some weight, fat boy.
I'll try. Yeah.
All right, I got you. Mel, what we got going on? Thanks for coming up. You're muted. Show them braces.
I was gonna take my mic off. I said, Jesus Christ. Just know, thank you for having me, of course, always. But I just think, as far as like the conversation we had today, I think a lot of different things came out. So I think we just gonna have to expand on like everything that has came out. But I think one thing, and I'll leave on this, when it comes to shame, I don't see it don't work. And I don't know why we still do it, and we think like it's gonna be a different outcome. So I just really want, I think I'm so glad that we able to have these conversations, but I look forward to part 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 5, because I feel like this gonna keep going on and on.
We're trying to change him up.
Okay. But yeah, we it's some stuff we need to talk about. I know you was taking your notes too. But everybody have a good night. Always love.
Love from Zeta Phi Beta.
Of course.
All right. Thank you. That's Coach Mel. If your woman ain't loving you right, her number is... No, just joking. I think she's taken anyway. Um, Shame does not work at all. Well, I won't say at all. Positive reinforcement. We need to lead people to goals and have people incentivized to do better behavior. If you do this, you will get this. You will become this. You already are something. Speak positivity into people's minds. That's what coaches and leaders do. Leaders build the next leaders, not followers pushing the next followers down lower and lower. That's what you see around right now. Weaker people following weaker people because they are weaker people and they're producing more weaker people. And they're all shaming each other. You ain't this, you ain't that. Well, shoot, you ain't nothing either. Y'all at the same liquor store shaming each other. No, Then people think that it works. Look around. Dude, I don't like the results that I see. And the people doing the most, y'all ain't. Okay, then they look at them, even in the church, and even whatever. 6 weeks later, you find out, oh, did you hear what happened to him? You know he was cheating on him with this. You know that dude talking about, man, y'all broke. I'll make all the money. Well, you know he didn't pay his taxes for the last 8 years and IRS got him. That didn't happen to so many people that the newer generation, they don't believe anybody no more. People always, yeah, y'all need to listen to me. I'm the coaching relationship guru. Then you find out he's beating his wife. Or the person doing all that talking looks just like the person who really was beating their wife. Or he looks like the person, or sounds like, or runs with the people doing the dust. So why should they listen? And you never asked these people what they wanted. You never asked these people who you are, didn't meet them where they were. And you just talk. And so eventually it's just you talking stuff. And what do you get back? Them shaming you back. Well, look at you, you dusty crusty. Well, look at you, your money. Look at you. I know because I do it all the time. I'm a troll. I be roasting, man. I be smoking some of these dusties. Hey, it's a bit, got to do what I got to do. Special shout out. Thank you, Mel, taking the time to come up. Thank you, Jedi. Thank you, Tamika, for helping build Jedi. Thank you, Simon, for coming up and having an actual decent conversation. Thank you, Sugar Bum, for your support. Like real talk. Sugar Bum and Robin M. I appreciate y'all. And if I didn't mention y'all, I appreciate y'all taking the time and actually listening, because I understand the negative stuff is very entertaining. It just is. But I appreciate y'all rocking and listening to some stuff and even participating and pushing back on me. I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to grow. I'm trying to be a better and more influential person, just in real life. I've been guilty of judgment. I grew up around a lot of judgmental people. I grew up in a black neighborhood, 2-car garages. And a lot of them, sometimes there were people around who thought they were better than the man to the next. I didn't know that I was judgmental until I was 19 years old. Dead truth. Because when I was around, then I had to learn. Other people go through different stuff. They didn't grow up like me. They didn't have what I had. I had to start to learn. I had to become a better listener. I had to meet people where they are. And not just talk down on people because I got something that they don't. But I never lived in that person's shoes. They might not have had the opportunity that I have. But what I can do, because a week later I might need them for something, or 2 weeks later I might get exposed as a fraud or a dusty, or I can't start the car. I ain't somebody. I might need that person or somebody that looks like them. So why not have positive conversation, meet them where they are. If there are 2, try to help them get to a 3, try to help them get to a 4. Or there are 3 in all these categories, but they're 9 in something else. And that might be the thing that you need. Or you yourself who thinks you're a 9. There's one area that you a 2. And that might be the one that get exposed next week. Your communication game. Your money. You ain't paid your taxes. That thing you thought nobody knew. Your cousin and them knew. Now you about to get it. Oh, it's going public. So let's talk to people and treat people better. But if we got to troll them and we got to dust, I understand. But it's entertainment. But real life, let's not just keep beating the hell out of each other. Shaming and you ain't. No. The kids are listening. They're copying the behavior. They got it from somewhere. We got it from somewhere. Where we get this from? We're gonna keep doing this? This how we're gonna do? Just keep beating the hell out of each other? Everybody, let's just do better. But that's all I got. I was hoping people came with pushback, and they didn't come with pushback because I wanted to have a discussion. And I wasn't going to shame the shamers. I was going to just try to use positive reinforcement with the shamers and try to get a better conversation. But shout out to even the shamers. They might be trying to do the best. But that's all I got. Shout out World Class. Shout out Chicago Rilla, Robin M. Sugarbum, the Troll Illuminati. Gore, I see you. No Chaser. Love y'all. A lot of dust going on in these streets. Hit the like button. Anton, I don't know how to say that last name. Shigur. Shout out. That is the end of the show. I'm hungry. I need some food. Peace out, people. Once I figure out how to work this thing. Here we go.